Listen, you know what time it is. It's time for another episode of your favorite podcast entitled We Hate You in an Accent.
Oh, I love that.
That's why we asked him to be on the show.
That is beautiful.
Okay, so I wanna kind of double back a little bit and talk a little bit about young DB. Did you get into a lot of fights growing up when you were young?
I had my share of scraps. What one of the things being in the environment that I grew up in. I lived as far north as Alaska, and I lived in New York and Connecticut. I lived in Boston, but I spent most of my time in the Bay Area here in Oakland, where I am right now, where I'm traveling from right now. And so in certain environments, you kind of have to you gotta have to be able to defend yourself and fight, or risk being a mark and everybody messes with you for the rest of your life. So there were definitely that. Um, and I grew up. I played football when I was a kid, and in high school and college. So highly emotional, physical matchups always led to fights. Um, Basketball
Mhm.
games always lead to fights. Uh, I,
Goodness,
I spent some time hanging out in pool halls and
definitely.
bars and stuff when I was a kid. That's definitely a place to fight. My family my family
Find a
owned
good
a
fight or two
bar.
there.
Yeah, and I've seen a few. That's why I could tell you guys: you don't hang out in pool halls and never hang out behind the 7-Eleven. Nothing good happens back there. Nothing good happens behind the 7-Eleven anyway. So so avoid those places. But yeah, I've had my fair share of scraps.
Okay, so then second part of that question, what is some of the training that you've received as far as some of the things that the disciplines that you've learned, and then how has your
Yeah.
training or your journey through your training, how has it changed your perspective as far as fighting is concerned? I know you mentioned some of that earlier, but
Well, when I was untrained and just a kid scrapping, I think far more dangerous then than I was after I
Mhm.
started. The reason why is because there really wasn't an off switch, but it was more of a danger to myself because I had the whole tunnel vision thing. You just focus on one person until you get jumped enough, and then you're like, okay, it's never one on one, but that's a hard way to go. It's a hard way to go about it. So
but fought you fought,
but
fought an octopus, huh? You fought that
yeah,
octopus.
yeah, I've you know being at the bottom of that pile is both the best and worst place to be.
Yeah.
If as long as I had someone underneath me, there gets a point where there's so many people on top of you, they really can't really do much damage to you, right? But
Yeah.
I'm doing damage to the guy that's underneath. But at any rate, my first martial art was boxing, and then I wrestled a little bit, and then I got into some karate and started training in kung fu and jiu-jitsu, um, and trained Filipino martial arts, which is one of my favorites. Um, is Filipino martial arts, and then I gradually got into Krav Maga. Um, when I was in the army, I got into Krav Maga, and I just thought it made sense to me. The system made sense. It was fast, explosive, violent, and everything that you need in a street altercation.
Straight up. Straight up. Um, if you could, I know you're a Krav Maga instructor, so and a lot
Yeah,
of people may have heard of it, but they really don't know what it is. So if you could just if you could simply explain, what Krav Maga is.
yeah. Krav Maga is the official hand-to-hand combat system of the Israeli Defense Forces and the IDF, and it was brought over to the United States in the late '80s, early '90s. A group that got over there, a guy named Darren Levine. Darren Levine is the U.S. Chief Instructor of Krav Maga Worldwide. Um, as a martial artist, he's directly uh, one of the guys that's directly responsible for Krav Maga's growth in the United States. He trained with Amy, the founder of Krav Maga, and he brought it over to the United States. And we have John Whitman, of course, who's my instructor, who trained directly under Darren. Um, John is also responsible for its growth. It's a phenomenal system. It exists for one reason, and that's to keep people safe. We don't have katas. We don't have forms. We don't have any spirituality, if you will. It's not for that. It's for to survive the worst moment of your life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's got some boxing in it, wrestling, and then there's some jujitsu, and it's an ever evolving system. A lot of other martial arts look at them. You guys just steal stuff from other things. I'm like, name one martial art that hasn't taken something from another martial art. Name one. There isn't any. Jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu literally is derived directly from judo. Directly from judo.
Mm-hmm.
That's there's no question about it. And so do we look at BJJ and go, well, you suck because you just took it from jiu-jitsu? No, it's its own thing now, and that's okay. Things evolve. I don't know why everyone has to feel like they own something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, people treat martial arts like a religion. Like, I go to this church, or I go to that church. I'm like, yeah, but aren't y'all reading the same book? Like, like, what are you doing? Like, who cares? So yeah. But Krav Maga is, I think, one of the most effective self-defense systems because it is void of all false pretenses. Now, there's levels to everything, and just like anything else, there's good Krav Maga and then there's bad Krav Maga. There's good Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and there's bad Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But as far as systemically, I think Krav Maga is A to Z going to cover yourself from a self-defense standpoint.
So okay, so you say it's kind of a culmination, because I took a couple of Krav Maga classes myself. I'm not, you guys aren't the only one who's done some training. And one of the things I thought that was just really interesting, instead of it being focused on a certain discipline or of attacks, or whether we're focusing more on punches like a boxer or kicks, you know what I'm saying? It was more or less just really situational,
Sure.
and like there are any it's just about surviving. Basically, it's about surviving and doing damage. It ain't about nothing else but surviving and doing damage to survive. And that's kind of the one thing that I really got from it, because when I was interested, I really want to try to kind of put my family involved in some of the things you were talking about, just helping with the mental aspect of combat. Because I think a lot of times, people that either haven't had any fights or don't have any training, it's the insecurity that causes problems. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because that's what gives you a bad attitude, and you always, what I mean. And like I said, you talked about the sweet old ladies eating cooking with gingerbread. She said the heat in the oven wasn't the only heat she's working on.
That's right.
But I think that if you're comfortable and confident that I can protect myself, then you can be nice. You don't have to feel like you got to put on a front to protect yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so,
Amy, the founder of Krav Maga, used to say, people would ask him, why do you train? Why do you train? And you train so you can walk in peace. So what does that mean? I can walk around anywhere in the world knowing that if something happens, I can defend myself.
Yeah.
So I don't have to walk around paranoid or scared or puffing out my chest. Look at me, I want to fight you. This is one of the reasons why one of the big fallacies. And Claire, you hear this a lot, right? You're gonna hear this. Oh, this style, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what your chances are of running into someone in the street who's trained and attacking people? There aren't roving bands of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners running around attacking people. So this whole notion, this is one of the things that I said, in response to Joe Rogan comment. Oh, you can forget all that. He said, you can forget all that Krav Maga stuff against a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I'm like, where would they meet?
Yeah.
Like, what circumstances would bring those two together?
Because in a cage MMA, or with, like, of course, like, because the rules apply, quote unquote. You know
nobody
what I mean?
in Krav Maga is talking about taking Krav Maga into a cage. Nobody.
Yeah.
No, like my MMA fighters, my guys who are fighting. I have 2 guys fighting for and 2 more AMI titles. That will be AMI title 5 and 6 if we win them. I've got one of my pros fighting. They all know Krav Maga, but they're not doing Krav Maga in MMA. They train like MMA fighters. Why? Because that's the environment. So that's what I'm saying. It's like this false made up argument. Oh, a BJJ black belt will destroy a guy doing Krav Maga. I'm like, well, where would they meet? When would this happen? Like in your mind? And here's the other part. If you're talking about high level Krav Maga guy, I'm going to be honest with you. A high level Krav Maga practitioner, I'm talking about tier 1 operators, guys that I know. you're not going to get that close. You're going to get cut with a knife or shot because we carry weapons. We're trained in weapons. We're trained in hand to hand. We're there for finality. So it's easy to say from a dojo standpoint, this is what will happen. But unless you actually train with high level guys, you don't really know what will happen. So my thing is like, I believe that there's space for all of it. I believe that the two most effective self-defense systems would be Krav Maga and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, that's going to cover all your bases. You got stand up, you got your grappling, you got your clinch work. You have all the stuff that you need to survive should you do it properly. So this whole notion that one style's better than the other is just dumb. Just it's ridiculous. Waste of time.
I don't mean this in like in any offensive way. If anything, I feel like when I first started, like, I guess, researching and seeing Krav Maga, I feel like, and again, I don't mean this offensively, but it's very like animalistic. You get what I'm saying? Like that self-preservation aspect of it.
It should be.
I feel like it's a lot more of a mental thing than it is anything else too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you gotta be on that mode. Like you're at 100. You're not going to get there. You're already there. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
No, that's a great comment. It's a great perception, and it's actually intentional because look, the average Krav Maga practitioner, like, they're not fighters. I call they're civilians, right? They're civilians. These are average people walking around. They have jobs. They have families, and think about what happened to activate them. Something really terrible happened, right? So I have to go from 0 to 60 immediately, right? I have to go from nothing to something. So what I tell people all the time is that any real self-defense system, Krav Maga included, should exist to shrink the gap between your reaction and your response. So my reaction, someone tries to hit me, I cover like, oh shit, someone trying to hit me. But my response is the violence that comes after that. And so we talk about fight or flight a lot, right? Fight or flight. But people forget the other F's. There's 3 F's. It's not fight and flight. It's fight, flight, freeze.
Yep.
See, fight and flight are actually decisions. These are actions, right? So I'm taking action, whether I engage the guy or run away. That's fight or flight. Freeze, you do nothing. And most people get hurt when they do nothing.
That is
true.
So the idea is that at any given moment, someone could attack or do something. I've already made my decision today, not when I train, and not in the not the day of the attack, but I've already made my decision on if someone does certain things. Those are what I call go buttons. Like, there's no negotiating, there's no talking. I'm just going to destroy you. Like, it's that simple. Like, if you touch me, you grab my wife, you grab my kids, I'm not talking to you. It could be the Pope. The Pope is going to catch his work. You put your hands on my wife and my kids, and we're going to all go to God and find out what happened. Because you violated. So now, if the guy has 13 items in the 12 items or less line, he might be a sociopath, but I'm not going to beat him up because he's got extra item.
Wait, you said it.
I'm not counting people's groceries. Okay. Right. So your go button has to be realistic. It can't be like, oh, guy cut me off in traffic. That's a go button. That's not a go button. That's you chill out. You know, like there's the old saying, how do you keep yourself in check? Most martial artists will understand this. Like, if you wake up in the morning, you leave your house and you run into an asshole. Okay, you ran into one. But if you run into them all day long, you're the asshole.
Yeah, that's funny. That is so true.
Right? So
it's time for some self-reflection.
It's like you need to chill out. You know?
Look at me, everybody.
So just calm down. Like so we have to fight this. The biggest fight that I think the martial artists have is the desire to want to go prove the validity of whatever you're studying. Does that make sense? Like, your ego starts to get out of control. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna start something with someone, and just to prove that I can do it. It's like, nah, dude, you gotta chill out. Like, trust me, there'll be plenty. Like, I used to have a job. I used to work in loss prevention and private security. I literally went to work every day and got into a fight every single day. I've arrested more than 500 people, cuffs on. I've arrested people who were wanted for murder, who were wanted for felonious assaults, who were trying to hurt me or hurt someone else, sexual assault. I pulled weapons off of people, disarmed people, all kinds of things. I've never had to kill anyone in my capacity of loss prevention, but my skill set as a martial artist definitely came into play. But the number one skill set I had was talking to them, talk them down, make them think about the life choices they're going to make. Say, hey, bro, like I'm gonna let you go. I just want to get the stuff back. But if you start acting stupid, you're gonna go to the hospital. and then for both of us, we lose. I'll feel bad for like an hour for thumping you, and you're gonna feel bad for longer. So,
Straight up.
so we try to keep ourselves in check, and I think that's important in any training. Um,
Yeah.
it's not as hurting another human being. When you have to do that, it does take away from yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
It does.
like if you're, even if it's justified, you're like, damn, could I have been a little bit more patient? Could I have been a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more tolerant? And I
Yeah.
have to bust this guy up because I don't believe in that whole turn the other cheek stuff. If someone hits you, you should break them off.
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone tries to hit you,
Yeah.
like that's not. I'm not walking in love at that point. Like that's
Yeah.
out the
And
window.
that's true. And then at the end of the day, everything you do has a consequence.
Yes,
Sure,
Everything you do.
sure. And but by the way, gun owners need to understand that you could get into an exchange with someone, right? Draw your firearm, do what you need to do, and it would cost you $200,000 just to prove that you were right.
Yeah.
You
You might lose
understand?
your
So
house. You might
yes,
lose everything. Yeah.
yes,
Yep.
yeah, and that's
that's the
something that
reality
a
of the
lot of
situation.
people
I think.
don't really consider. Is like, man, that,
Yep.
that what are the after effects of my decision today? Now, in the moment, if those buttons have been pushed and those lines have been crossed where you have to do what you got to do, you should do so. But your training should include what we call left of bang. There's a great book called Left of Bang, before the incident, during the incident, and post incident.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so it's one thing, the Marine that put the guy in the chokehold in New York. It was all over the news several months back. Killed the guy, right?
Mm.
Um, and there was reports that he held the choke for several minutes. And my thing is, if you're going to get involved in something, number one, you have to be willing to see it to the end. But two, if you're going to put someone in a rear naked choke, for instance, then you have the responsibility to know what that could do to someone should you hold it too long, right? You have to
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mhm.
I can't hold his rear naked choke for 3 or 4 minutes. The guy's going to
Yeah.
die,
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so my thing is like, have a plan before that day even comes, and your training should cover that. So that's why in my gym we actually have a shoot house in my gym, where we do home invasion training. We do active shooter stuff all the time, as part of our regular curriculum. Um, and I talk them through it, carjacking, self defense, things of this nature. Whether, hey man, like in a home invasion, I tell parents all the time, your number one goal is to get the kids out of the house. Someone's got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Even if mom has to leave the kid, I know it's terrible, but even if mom has to run out and leave her kid, why is that important? Because every second she's not accounted for is a second closer to the police showing up. If you let them tie you up, that's the last thing you ever see. So you have to understand that the threat should always be met with the appropriate response. And a
Mhm.
person kicking in your door, coming in your house, and trying to harm you and your family should be met with the ultimate response. You have to be willing to fight like the third monkey trying to get on Noah's Ark. Like
Straight up.
that's how bad it has to be.
You said that, and I remember we're gonna start trying to come toward the finish line with this great,
Yeah,
great conversation, man. You mentioned in our another thing that you mentioned in our little pregame meeting. You talked about the difference between fighting and self-defense,
yeah,
and how you get into a fight with somebody, even in the street, you fighting somebody, and there's a certain expectation of that outcome. But then you're
hmm
talking about self-defense. It's a totally different situation that you're dealing with when you're talking about self-defense. I thought it was very profound the way that you broke that down. If you don't mind giving us a little
yeah.
bit of insight.
So self defense isn't, contrary to popular belief. It is not who throws the first punch. That's not self defense.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Um, for instance, if two guys are jaw jacking, f you, and a punch gets thrown, the person who is the intended recipient of the punch can't be like, well, I'm defending myself because he tried to punch me first. Like, no, you were in a verbal argument. You were doing, that's mutual combat. You could have walked away at any given point, but you chose not
Mm-hmm.
to. So the fact that it gets physical from that standpoint has nothing to do with who swung first. That's different from, I'm walking to my car, putting my bags in my car, and I turn around and there's a guy trying to take my head off.
Yeah.
That's different. It's different from, hey, there's a fender bender. I get out of the car to check the car, and the guy jumps out, grabs his crowbar, and he's coming right at me. That's self-defense. That's different because there was no intent for one of the people involved to get to an altercation. The other person was the aggressor, and you have to do it. But you can't be verbally aggressive with someone and then claim self-defense. It's not that's not how that works.
Yeah.
So there's mutual combat too, right? So like if we both agree, verbally or non-verbally, hey, F you, and we put up our hands to fight, at that point, that's a fight. That's skill set. That's not self-defense.
And that's completely legal here in Texas too.
By the way, yes,
Completely legal.
yes. Don't mess with Texas. It's also legal. Mutual combat is also legal in Washington State too, and there's a couple other states. I actually prefer it. But the other side of that coin is from a self-defense standpoint. If someone attacks me and I make a self-defense and I incapacitate them or stop them, right? They no longer can continue. I have a legal responsibility and a tactical responsibility to stop hitting them. Why tactical? Number one, his friends are going to come jump in. So if I'm just focused on this one guy, I have tunnel vision now. But from a legal standpoint, it doesn't matter even if the guy tried to kill me. If he's no longer a threat, I have a legal responsibility to stop hitting him. You can't. And most people think you can just go ham on the guy and do whatever you want. That's not how it works. You better know your laws. You better know what constitutes self-defense and what doesn't. And they vary from state to state. They do.
Oh, that's good stuff,
That's
man.
that's something I really liked from Bullets and Brunch or what'd you say, Magnums and Mimosas. That's one thing that
Hey, y'all want that now? Come on, now. Slide
gotta
your
give
boy
you-
envelope.
That's right. That's right.
That's something that we talked about a lot. We actually, as a matter of fact, at the specific gun range that we go to and we trained at, they actually have this subscription based lawyer and legal like law firm that you could have if you plan on concealed carrying, because that's something that so many Americans who own guns but don't train or know or educate themselves, they end up facing. We actually in Texas, I think there was an elderly woman who there was someone breaking into her house and she used a shotgun and killed the man. It turns out that the man was actually just drunk and it was her neighbor and she killed her neighbor. Well, they wanted to take her house. They wanted to take her retirement. They wanted to take everything. But at the end of the day, they defended her and she was able to keep these things. But that's something that happens all the time. Like you will lose everything just to prove that you are innocent, or to try to prove that you are not guilty,
That's the part people don't know.
Yeah.
Don't understand.
And that's the reality of it.
There is. We live in a litigious society, and we have to be aware of it. Like people are always like, "Man, you shouldn't speak so freely about violence." I'm like, no, I can back up everything I'm saying with science, right? Number one, and also to a sound state of mind and a I would say steps, right? We got step 1 through 5, how we got here, how did we end up here? But a lot of people are somewhat reckless, and sometimes you know how money changes people. Let me tell you something. Nothing changes a person faster than putting a gun in their hand. Nothing.
Yeah.
Somebody gets a gun on their hip, all of a sudden they are Wyatt Earp. They are Jack Bauer. They think they are like a tactical wizard. It's like, oh, chill out. They go out, they go buy 511 pants, and they start dressing tactical. And next thing you know, it's like, dude, what are you doing, bro? You still work at Best Buy. Why are you? What are you doing? Like you're not that guy. You're not that guy.
You're not that guy.
That's not who you really are. Like,
that's
you play Call of Duty. I get it, but you have to check yourself. Like same
Oh my god, that is so funny. Wow.
Everybody knows that guy.
Yeah.
Well, you trust me. You've rolled with that guy. That guy that comes in and he thinks he.
Suddenly they're like professors and they got it. Like, professor, you can't even write a full sentence.
Yeah, bro. Like you just figured out how to tie your belt. Easy, tiger. Easy.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. I see it all the time, and I caution my students against it all the time. It's like, hey, listen, I want you to remember that. Why are you doing this? Remember your why. And if your actions aren't matching your why, then you need to reassess.
Straight up.
Yeah, and it's so important. I'm sorry. It's so important to always remember, like you have to be the student for life, forever. You're always learning. Even people who are those higher belts, even people who've been training for years and years and years, they are still always learning, and that's important to always remember.
I'm a 3rd degree black belt in Krav Maga, and my students have never seen me in my belt. I don't wear it. It doesn't mean anything, and the reason why I don't wear it is because I want to impress upon my students, like, your belt doesn't mean anything. Just shut up and train. Get better. Train every day.
Yeah.
Don't tell me how great you are. I see, like I don't care about that stuff. Go put your. If you're really serious about it, you have to go put yourself in harm's way. I've had my butt kicked by Forrest Griffin, and I've trained with Roy Nelson, and I got Boss Rutan and Amir Peretz and these guys. I've had my butt kicked by these guys, right? Like, and it's humbling. But you know what? You need it. You have to have it because if you don't lose, how can you learn how to win?
Man, it boy DB, what? That's why we brought him on the show, doggone.
Yeah, amazing.
Listen, we gonna go ahead and start wrapping this thing up.
Okay.
Final question, and then we gonna put the bow on it. We ask this to all of our guests. You know what I mean? It's a universal question. This being, we hate your internet and all. And the question is just, what's one thing that you think that we've lost as human beings since the full integration of the internet in our lives?
Humility.
Haven't heard that one. That's a good one. Oh my
God. Humility. Like, everybody thinks that they're more important than we are. Everybody thinks that they value themselves based on how many likes they get from strangers and how many and people recognize you, and what car you drive or what phone that you use. And like, I saw a thing where like, 70% of women won't talk to a guy who doesn't have an iPhone. I'm like, what? That's what? Like, that's a thing? Like because Samsung sucks, or I don't. What's going on? Like, I don't like.
As soon as they see that green message, like, no.
Yeah, man. But you know what it is? It's perception. Like, it's this constant. We're constantly inundated with, via the internet, especially with, if you don't have this, you're not cool. If you look like this, you're not that. If I don't have a 6-pack abs and I'm not oiled up like one of those old I don't know, the old exercise commercials with the guys doing a band. They're all oiled up. It was weird. Bowflex, the old Bowflex commercials. Those are like the worst commercials ever.
Like, Billy Blanks. They got that Billy Blanks.
You see the Bowflex commercials? It was like soft porn, but weightlifting, but not without weights. It was stupid. It was just dumb. Go to the gym, lift weights. Like, I don't oil myself up before I work out. That's ridiculous.
you gotta have the anesthetic effect, man. Come on.
Yeah. But definitely I would say humility, and then added to that, everyone's suffering from the disease of me. We only think about ourselves. What's in it for me? Me. Instead of saying, hey, how can we use these great tools to put out into the world some good things that will help people?
Straight up, man. Listen, let the people know where they can find you. I'm sure they want to
know.
know.
Listen, Las Vegas Combat Academy. You can find us on all of our social media platforms on TikTok and Instagram. Las Vegas Combat Academy, and LasVegasCravMaga.com is also our website. And we've got cool merch. We've got some great videos. We're actually going into long form with YouTube. I'm going to actually add some more stuff on there. And if you guys are interested, we'd love to have you guys there. And even the haters, I love my haters. They move the algorithms too.
Haters are my motivators.
I look at it like they're, what they are? They're just fans that can't admit it. You know how much of a fan you have to be to create a troll account, right? You go back and create a troll account, and you keep coming back day after day to say, to say, like, you're not. Yeah, you're a fan.
You're a loyal follower.
You're a fan. Thank you so much. I want to send you a T-shirt. You are a fan. So, I could tell people, it's like, man, that dude's putting salt on me. You can put as much salt on me as you want. It just enhances the flavor. So let's go.
It is, man. Oh, man. That's gonna be it for today.
Yeah, man.
Wonderful, wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you guys for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for taking the time. We tried to get it done last week, man, but the man is so busy. You know what I'm saying? Somebody else napping before we could.
No, man. Yeah, we're in full swing fight camp. So we got 8 million things going. Plus, Dewey Cooper was at the gym. And if you have a chance to talk to Dewey, you should. He trains Francis Ngannou among other people. Dewey's my brother. We've been around a long time, so we've been really busy. But this was important. So thank you so much for having me on. If you guys ever want me back, I'll come back.
Man, yes, I'm sure that the people will want you back as well.
That's great. This is wonderful.
I still had some other questions. I had some more bullets left in the chamber. You know what I'm saying?
All right, we'll do it again. We'll do it again. No problem.
Straight up, man. Straight up. That's the show for today. I hope that I know that it was enlightening for those that tuned in. I hope that it brought you some understanding of what fighting really is. One of the things that was really important I wanted to get out in this episode specifically was just people watch fight videos and think, man, I do this and I would do that, and that if somebody broke in my house, I do this and I do that. And coming from a person who's trained, and I think that the way that it was delivered really helps people understand how important it is to be prepared mentally and understand that everything doesn't work according to your imagination. Like real life
No,
does not work according to your imagination.
no. It won't. Whatever can go wrong will go wrong, and so you have
Yeah.
to be able to fight through that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the man. We gonna that's gonna be it. Always want to ask you if you're watching, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit a like, maybe leave a comment. And you have plenty to talk about. If you're listening, go ahead and rate the show, leave a review. Once again, you have plenty to talk about in the review section. And we want to leave you like we always do, asking that you stay safe,
Stay blessed.
and please
Stay
stay
human.
human. Yeah.